Okay, making an equation. So we've learned from the basics that we have general form, factored form, or vertex form, and then if we switch the k, it can be standard form. So make an equation for a quadratic with a vertex and a slope. So given the vertex and slope, I'm going to go vertex form. Okay, so I'm going to put the slope in for the a, and the 1 in for the h, and the -3 for the k. So that's it. So when you do an equation, it would need to tell you the slope and the vertex so that the xy spot is now going to be open to put any point. Okay, because the vertex is always going to be the same, but otherwise you have infinite many xy coordinates you could replace into those spots. Make an equation for a vertex, a quadratic with a vertex and a point. Okay, so this time we don't know the slope. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you a few ways here. Okay, so the vertex is your h and your k, and the point is the x and a y. So you're going to plug all those in and determine the a. So y gets replaced with a 1, x minus h plus 5. So I'm going to move the 5 over, so that's -4. And this would be -2 squared, which is 4, so the slope is -1. So you would need a final answer of y equals -1, x minus 3 squared plus 5. Okay, like I said, you need your slope and your vertex, because those don't change, but the x and the y, you can input various points in. Okay, I'm going to show you another way. So 3, 5, and then 1, 1 it goes through. So if this is the vertex and it goes through that point, it obviously goes downward. And then I moved over 2 and down 4 is, when you have 2 squared, it's normally 4, but we went down 4, so all we did was times it by a -1. So therefore the slope is -1. Okay, same idea, vertex and a Y-intercept. So a Y-intercept is a point. We just have to remember that the coordinate is 0, 5. So there's our xy, there's our hk. Okay, so I'm going to, again, I'll just write this formula out so we can see it. I'm going to replace y with 5, solve for a. X is 0, minus 1 squared plus 8. Move the 8 over, that's -3. -1 squared is 1. So therefore a is -3. So y equals -3, x minus 1 squared plus 8. Leaving the xy spots open, putting the vertex and the slope in there. So again, I could look at this. So I have a vertex here and another point here. So I can see that it obviously opens downward. So how did I move from there to there? I went over 1, down 3. So if you move 1 over, what's 1 squared? 1. But you went down 3, therefore you times it by -3. Make an equation for a quadratic with x-intercepts of 2 and -6 and a y-intercept of -24. So this time I'm going to start with factored form. Okay, so factored form. Okay, so my x-intercepts are 2, and so I'm going to subtract 2 and add 6, because if you subtract a negative 6. Okay, so I replaced R and S. Those were my x-intercepts. Okay, and then a y-intercept gives me the coordinate 0, negative 24, so that's my x and that's my y. Okay, so negative 24 equals a times negative 2 times 6, so that's negative 12. Therefore, a equals 2. So my final equation would be y equals 2, x minus 2, x plus 6. So again, all the information except for the x, y spots have to be open. Okay, make an equation with a quadratic with an x-intercept of 5 and a point 3, negative 4. So x-intercept, so I'm going to use factored form. Okay, so negative 4 goes there. 3. So I've replaced my x and my y. Okay, now the x-intercept, they only gave us 1, so what's probably going on is that the vertex is right on the x-intercept, and the point 3, negative 4. So that's what's going on. So minus 5, minus 5. Okay, so negative 4 equals a negative 2 times a negative 2. So negative 2 times negative 2 is 4, therefore a equals negative 1. So y equals negative 1. And instead of writing x minus 5, I'm going to write x minus 5 squared. Okay, the quadratic has an x-intercepts of 10 and 2, slope of negative 1. Figure out the location of the vertex and state the equation of the quadratic in vertex form. Okay, so we know that this is the equation in factored form, x-intercepts of 10 and 2 and a slope of negative 1. Okay, so we can go to our calculator and graph that now. Oh, I'm going to get back to my Zoom 6 here. Okay, so I'm just going to draw a picture as well. Okay, I'm going to make this higher and wider. So let's try 17 and 20. Alright, so we can see that. So we're going to calculate the max, left bound, right bound. So 6, 16. Okay, I'm also going to tell you that when you have your x-intercepts, your vertex is going to be symmetric in the middle. So right in the middle of 2 and 10 is a 6. Okay, so now we need to write this in vertex form. So y equals the slope of negative 1, x minus h squared plus k.